Hello everyone and welcome to Worplesdon Golf Club and this video in association with Peter Millart, in which we're going to take a look at how you judge the quality of golf course that you are playing. So I'm going to be joined by Rob Smith and Jeremy Ellwood, who run our top 100 courses panel, and the editor of Golf Monthly, Mike Harris, as well, to look at the Golf Monthly list of top 100 courses and in particular how we rank those golf courses. Now, there are 5 different criteria that we use to help us judge where each of the golf courses sits. We're going to talk through each of those with some key discussion points along the way that are well worth bearing in mind whenever you're out playing a golf course for the first time. Right, let's get started. Okay, so it's important to say right at the beginning of this part that the way in which Golf Monthly rank its top 100 courses is slightly different to the way some other people do it, in that we have 5 different categories, and we're going to look at those in order, starting with the one that's weighted the most, so the most important. So 35% of the score of a golf course will be on, Rob, the quality of the test and design. Now, obviously, the top 100 courses have all got great test and design. What makes those so good in terms of the way in which they're laid out?
Well, what you're looking at for this category, and as you say, it's the most important of the categories, is that you want a golf course that has got every kind of variety of hole on it and will therefore keep you interested all the way around, but also test you all the way around. So you want to come off the course having probably used every club in your bag. You want bunkers in different places. You want strategic thoughts. You want some risk and reward holes. You want holes that turn to the right, holes that turn to the left. This is very much about how you would look at a hole if it was drawn for you on a piece of paper. That's what you're evaluating that hole on. Where the hazards are, where the landing areas are, how do you approach into the green, and so on. So you want something that's fair, that all golfers can play, but it's still testing, so that you've really got to think about what you're doing. So that's what we mean by the design and test. It's really what the golfer has to do to get from the tee into the hole.
Yeah, and I guess it's a really good point, that, Rob, that balance that you want from a golf course in terms of testing you, being challenging, but also being rewarding as well if you play well. Now, Mike and Jezz, give us some examples of golf courses on the list that performed well in terms of the quality of the test and design.
Well, I would pick out somewhere like Royal Lytham, maybe, where it's maybe not the most visually attractive surroundings, enclosed by houses, but each individual hole will make you think all the way from tee to green, because of its bunkering, because of its topography, because of its shape, and at the far end near the turn, there's changes in elevation where you play up towards a couple of greens up there. So it's got everything, even though externally, it's not got ocean views and glorious sights to behold, but it is still very, very well designed
test of
golf,
no matter how.
And a tough closing stretch.
What handicap you are, Mike?
I think, do you know where we are today? Worplesdon is fantastic for its variety of shots. There's some nice elevation changes. You play up some holes, you play down to some other holes. Again, as Rob said, you've got that variety of dogleg left, dogleg right. You've got some shorter, par 5s you can get at, and then you've got a couple of really long par 4s that are really going to test you. The par 3s are not all the same length. You've got the lovely par 3 across the water, which you feel like has a really great chance to have a birdie. Some of the other par 3s here, longer, more testing. But I think it's that variety across the 18.
So I'm gonna play devil's advocate here. I'm not asking you to name any courses that are on the top 100 because there probably aren't any. But what are the things that golf courses do that bug you in terms of the quality of the test? I'm going to start one that you always say to me, Mike, which is growing up long rough beneath the trees. So you hit it in the trees and then you can't actually get it out because you're in the thick rough. Is there anything else that you can think of that is a bit frustrating when you find that at a golf course?
I think if you've got a relentlessly long carries,
right,
I think is something which is fine for tour players and for for low single figure golfers, but for the ordinary golfer, too many forced carries I think is I wouldn't I'd probably mark a course down for that.
Right, okay.
I think for me it would be that demand, as I mentioned earlier, for variety. I don't want 18 holes that are the same, regimented through the trees. The 4 par 3s are pretty much the same length and you've got the same shot coming in. I want that variety and therefore to have to think about different things on each hole.
Yeah, Jezz?
I would go for already long par four, testing long par fours, 450 yards, and then they throw a really tricky green and a very narrow entrance at you as well. And you're thinking, I've done the hard part here, I've got to the green, now I don't want to, take 3 or 4 more shots to get down. I think, if you've got a long par four, don't make the green amongst the most tricky on the golf course.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I think there's always a really good principle of hard par, easy bogey. Again, I think it's something which, yes, there should be a test, and you should feel like, it's an achievement if you've made par, but making a bogey is like, that gives you, that option to have a bailout shot,
a way out,
tee, to not, cross 18 holes, not keep on be forcing carries, whether it's over bunkers or over.
Yeah, I believe that is what Bobby Jones wanted all the holes at Augusta to be. He used that very phrase, effectively, hard par, easy bogey.
Yeah, and I think we can all agree that's a fairly good golf course. So 35% of a course's mark goes on quality of test and design. 30% goes on the conditioning and the presentation of the golf course. Rob?
Well, that's obviously vital, because there's no point in having a lovely golf course in front of you, but you can't play it because the surfaces aren't correct. What you want is true greens, or of a consistent pace all the way through all 18.
You don't all have to be really fast.
Absolutely not.
I think
but
it's
the
more about
consistency is the only important thing, really. Obviously, you don't want them to be snail's pace, but you want them to be the same pace all the way through, so that you don't suddenly get caught out, because that's so different from what you've just played. And it's the same with the way all the way. You want the bunkers to be well presented. You want any hazards, if you can use that word anymore, such as water hazards and so on, to be nicely lined and to look good. So the whole presentation, first cut of rough, if there is one, second cut of rough and so on, you want it to look and feel, and then most importantly, play consistently all the way through.
Yeah, and actually it's quite an interesting point here, because I feel as if there are some golf courses that can look and feel rugged, but that are also well maintained. I think sometimes when you talk about condition, people get caught up in that sort of Augusta mindset of like having it absolutely pristine, but actually it can be rugged, but it can also be in fantastic condition as well.
Oh, 100%. I think if you talked about Royal West Norfolk Brancaster or somewhere like Royal North Devon, they are meant to be natural golf courses. Some of the links in Ireland and Scotland, they're not meant to be pristine. It wouldn't be appropriate. I think appropriate conditioning is, so on an inland course, particularly on a parkland course, I think you do expect courses to be, of course, be immaculate. I know Adair Manor perhaps is the ultimate inland, conditioning wise, ultimate inland. It's incredible. You sort of, the tees, you could almost be greens at, at some golf courses. The approaches are incredible.
Yeah, that comes at a cost too.
Absolutely. They obviously have, sort of a lot of maintenance teams, big greenkeeping teams. I think almost, they'd have as many for 18 holes as 36 hole course would have. But that's appropriate for that type of golf course. It wouldn't be appropriate for a links to be absolutely pristine. I think it needs to have, as you say, that element of
and feeling natural, totally natural to its environment.
Yeah, Jezz, give us another course that you'd like to give a shout out to in terms of conditioning.
Conditioning, well, Rob's home club, it's probably better that I speak about. Tanridge is not very far from us, probably the closest top 100 course to my home, Tanridge in Surrey. And I played it a few times and thought it's kind of on the cusp of top 100. I played it last summer with these two gentlemen, and it was just absolutely immaculate and the best condition I've ever seen it. And when you're on the cusp, just that little extra percentage in that category
can really get you over the line.
To tip you over the edge.
Because there's so many great golf courses.
There's so many great golf courses.
Because it's important to say there is a lot of fantastic golf courses in the UK. They're not in the top 100. That are well worth, obviously, considering, and we do consider them very carefully.
Our next 100, you wouldn't be disappointed if you played any of them. Absolutely. And probably the next 300 beyond that. But somehow we've got to differentiate between them,
which is one of the challenges that you chaps face. Now, the next one is, for me, is really important, because I always want to play a golf course that is fun and has an element of excitement about it, and I think that probably manifests itself in the visual appeal, which we give 15% of the weighting to. Rob, tell us a bit about that side of things.
Well, it covers two aspects really. One is, as you're standing on the tee or on the fairway, what do you see in front of you? What's the test in front of you? How good does that look? How much does it get your juices going? How much does it excite you? but also you're really talking about the backdrop. So behind the hole, what's going on over there and outside the course, and obviously you've got so many links courses. There's views over the sea, if you're lucky enough to have those, really count for a fair bit too. So we've got 15% for visual appeal, and I think that's really important. So it's what takes the original architect's design off the page and brings it into life. The visual appeal is really important.
Yeah, yeah.
It's interesting. I see Rob's got 3 courses down there that he sort of picked out, because I'm going to sort of steal Rob's homework there. I talked about Old Head over in Ireland. You'll see many famous photographs of Old Head. It is a spectacular place.
It's incredible.
You know, it's almost, you know, these high cliffs. So you've got, you know, dramatic drops. You've got amazing, the lighthouse.
It's almost like one of those fantasy golf holes.
Yeah, absolutely.
In real
Yeah.
life.
And then you've got Hollingwell, Knott's
Which
Golf Club.
interesting, because it's so different to Old Head.
yeah,
It's like a totally different thing, isn't it? But
and I think that sort of, you know, that's about inner beauty, that each of the holes look lovely. Really fantastic, peaceful place to play golf. And then the other one you put there is Glen Eagles. And actually, interestingly, for this ranking, we have brought in the Centenary course. It's been sat outside of the top 100. I think we just feel like the presentation of the golf courses, all 3 of the Glen Eagles, have been moved to another level. And then, of course, you've got the beauty of the, you know, Perthshire Hills, you know, sort of the backdrop for all 3 of the courses. So we've moved the Centenary course in alongside the Kings and the Queens. So I think those are 3.
I think to carry the Glen Eagles thing on a bit further, the first time I played there, it didn't stop raining the whole day. I played 36 holes, and I loved every minute of it because the setting just blew me away. So, you know, I couldn't hold the club by the end, but it was just such a beautiful place to play.
it is. It's spectacular. Now, so you go from 15% for visual appeal to 10% for the facilities, which is, again, a really important part of the mix, because you want to play a golf course, great golf course, but you also, there's other stuff that goes on around that elevates the experience even further.
Well, it's a big day out. For all of us, to play a top 100 course is a real treat. For many people, it's a treat they can't do that often. So it's absolutely the whole day out that we're looking at here. So you want to be in a clubhouse that's comfortable, is welcoming, is friendly. You want, if you're kind of person who warms up beforehand, you want a practice ground where you can get your swing going.
Which you're not, Rob.
A halfway hut that's as nice as good, and sometimes it's at the clubhouse. Sometimes, and we've got some real crackers, we mentioned Sunningdale earlier, out on the course as well. You want the whole thing. You want the whole package for your day out, I think.
Without a doubt. So give us, Jezz, something that you think.
Well, let me say Dundonald is another course that's come in this time, and it's always been a strong golf course. It's hosted the Scottish Open, and it's on that glorious stretch of coast in Ayrshire, but it never had a clubhouse. Now it's got a fantastic clubhouse as well as the accommodation, which is a separate thing. But just getting that proper clubhouse rather than, all right, it's a nice cabin, nice temporary clubhouse. Yeah. But now it's got the proper facility to match the experience you're getting out on the golf course. And when you're right on the cusp again, it's just enough to take you from outside to inside.
Yeah. And I think it's really important, I mean, as Rob said, to play a top 100 golf course is a significant investment. Some of the green fees, are really high. So we are ordinary golfers. We're not professionals. You know, that's the whole thing about the golf monthly list. It's sort of for golfers, by golfers. And if you don't play brilliantly, and if that perhaps the quality of test and design is, you know, sort of beats you up, you still want to see a beautiful golf course that's well presented. And from when you arrive to when you leave, the facility, that is for us part of our rankings. I know for some other rankings, they're literally first tee to 18th green, and that obviously just really looks then at the golf course. We don't take into account accommodation, but it's pretty much everything else that as a regular visiting golfer you will experience. So the locker room, so the shower's good. You know, it's the quality of food really good as well.
Yeah.
So, you know, and again, appropriately priced. We've got a good selection of beer behind us. But for us 3, all 4 of us, you know, a really nice pint of beer at the end of the round, or good glass of wine is, you know, that's what it, you know, is encapsulated in that facility. You know, 10% of them are.
I think I just mentioned, you know, the facilities don't have to be grand. They have to match the, you know, I've just been to Porthcawl, and the clubhouse there is not grand in any way, but if you sit in that wood panelled room looking out to sea with with a little tipple of something after a round, even, however badly or well you've played, all is kind of well with the world.
Absolutely.
That's a place I love going to. So.
Okay, so 10% of the weighting goes to the facilities, but 10% also goes to something that we're calling experience, which is a bit more subjective, isn't it? It's hard to kind of put an exact mark against it, but it's a really important part of the mix when it comes to judging these golf courses.
It's very important, but it recognises the fact that we're all different and we all like different things and get pleased by different things, but ultimately we kind of end up marking these in the same way. It is the most subjective of the 5 criteria because it's about how did you feel, how great was the occasion, how warm was the welcome. So it's about the touchy-feely stuff that you really can't write down and define very clearly, but it's still important to the overall experience of your day out at a lovely top 100 course.
Yeah, because I guess a lot of people watching this may have been to a fantastic golf course where perhaps the welcome hasn't been perhaps as good as they were looking for, because you really want to be treated like and feel like you're a member for the day when you go to these golf courses, don't you?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. North Berwick actually have it as there is a sign just coming in, pay a visitor green fee, you are a member for the day. Interesting, again, I'm cribbing off Rob's notes again here. It's the welcome from both staff and from members as well, and I think that can be, you guys will, Neil and Jezz, you'll remember the time that we went and played at a course that shall remain nameless, where we were running late, we were on the way back from the Turnberry Open and we'd stopped in, we'd been held up by traffic, we had to get out the car onto the tee to make our tee time and quickly changed shoes in the car park so we could get out quickly, and a member came over and said, you can't change your shoes in the car park, and it's sort of, you know, could have said, do you need to know, you know, do you need to know where the locker room is?
Yeah.
Like, it makes a difference. You know, you really, you know, when people are investing their hard-earned money and going to a top 100 golf course, really want to make it feel like it's a special day.
So Jezz, tell us somewhere that you feel as if comes out really well when it comes to the experience.
Well, I think a lot of them do, because they, as Mike says, they're charging a lot of money. And it is the ones that, maybe in the last 10 to 15 years, a lot of them have really come on in that regard. And a lot of, you know, the top clubs that are traditional members clubs, maybe 15 years ago, did think, you know, it's a privilege for you to come here, so you'll do it how we want to do it. And there's definitely been a real change in focus to these people are paying £200-300.
Yeah, good.
They need to be treated like customers, not like.
Yeah, and I think interesting, because I think it's the number of club managers, secretaries, as probably you would have called them, have experience in the hospitality sector, or they go and do a lot of research in the hospitality sector to see how great hotels, great restaurants, what do they do to, again, make their customers feel really welcome, like a really special experience. So again, you want to come back regardless of how well you played. You go, do you know, I had such a great day there, what did you shoot? I don't know, probably millions, but I want to go back.
Yes.
And I think that's something for me is always the mark of really great experience. It doesn't matter how you played, I want to go back because I had such a great day.
Yeah, and if you can add that to that sense of occasion that you get from turning up to play somewhere that has that sort of spectacular look and feel to it, then you're onto a real winner. So there you have it. That's our look at how we rank golf courses at Golf Monthly. Now, it is important to say here that we haven't actually changed the criteria for Jezz. Like, how long?
I think we had a minor recalibration maybe 10 years ago where we weighted something slightly different, but in essence, very little has changed since day one.
Yeah, so it shows you that hopefully the consistency that we've brought to the rankings provides a bit of confidence that hopefully what you're getting with our top 100 are just fantastic golf courses that are going to, in different ways, tick every single box that you've got. But that's it for now from Worplesdon. Thanks very much for watching. We'll see you next time.